Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I tell you, I'm trying to think the differences in people, and I'm always looking for differences because of the culture change and language and all kinds of stuff. I'm always looking and learning. But what I was concerned about was in the United States, the Americans and the difference between the city folk and the country folk. I say when it comes to shit is the fan. It's the country folk, they deal with this all the time. The weather goes bad, there's nobody going to come and help them. But the best you could hope for is calling the sheriff. And then, like I say, the sheriff could be, 45 minutes, an hour away, a deputy, before they get a deputy to you. So, country folk learn to take care of things. And I've mentioned that before on the 911 has just taught people how to be not only lazy, but unwilling to take personal responsibility. And that coincides with the city folk and the country folk. I say, and this is another reason why I think a lot of people are having a hard time when I talk about gold and silver. Because I say, in the city, somebody is caring for you every level of your life. You have, at a price. I mean, you pay for, they call them services. But you're paying for that, and you don't make personal contact with people, so there's no negotiating, there's no, how do you get along with people? You don't. The money, that's all you do is you use money. That's why the city folk have a hard time understanding not only me, but country folk. And that's why we have so much problems. Like I say, I'm an Oklahoma guy. Now, the problem is the voters, the people, the numbers are in the cities, Oklahoma City and Tulsa. So all these people that we look at as country folk, we look at them kind of screwy. Why? Because they're city folk. And city folk got different ways than country folk. I say you pay for all these services. All the services not only we don't pay for, because we don't have them. Country folk don't have those services. We have very little services. And that's why the system tries not to let country folk be country folk. It makes it harder. The regulations are getting to the country folk, just like they've done for me when I was in the restaurant business, and all your small businesses. Regulations is what kills them. It's the same thing with the country folk. And I say services like, you have your trash. We don't. We got a barrel. We throw our trash in the barrel. We make a hole and burn our trash and dump it in the hole and bury it. Okay, regulations stop all this stuff. See, so now we do have a trash service. So you see what I'm saying? They are taking the country folks' independence away all the time. I know most people don't realize it, but a lot of country folk have water wells. And now I want to say city folk, because it's your fault. You city folk, it's your fault. You've allowed the state governments to get goofy. That's why a lot of states think they own the water now. And now they want to put meters on our water wells so they know how much water we're using. What difference does it make? We're right back to a lot of people say, well, you waste. Okay, and I've talked about that. When I've had restaurants, I waste a lot of electricity. My electric bill will double when I have a lot of business. So the more I produce, the more expenses there are. Well, it's the same thing with the country folk. They use too much water? No. They use the water that they need to use. What do you think how do you think you waste water in the country? What? You're just going to turn on the faucet and let it run? Well, yeah, let it run. It's going to overflow. It's going to flow on down to the creek, to the river. You know, I mean, yeah. I mean, you call that wasting? It's not wasting. But anyway, they're not going to do that because they need the water. The water's going to be for the livestock. So, you know what I mean? It is so, the difference between city folk and country folk is night and day. The priorities, and that's another reason why I'm sure a lot of you people don't understand when I talk, and I talk about priorities, you probably right over your head. You don't understand how it applies. And it probably doesn't in the city, providing everything stays good. And as long as you keep doing what you're told, as long as you keep standing in line like you're supposed to, as long as you do everything like you're supposed to, everything's going to be just fine. That's the way city folk are. Okay, country folk, like I say, nothing just automatically goes right. I mean, if you start your garden, I don't know how many years of gardening it takes before you learn how to garden. And it's the same thing with owning livestock. If you get chickens, it's going to take you time to learn how to do the chickens properly. And it applies to all aspects of country life. That's why many country folk got gardens. And like I say, they've got some kind of livestock of some type. And then like I say, they got to buy feed. And like I say, the livestock's going to get sick. So they got to, you know, I mean, just one thing after another. And they don't call for services. You know, I mean, they do this stuff. So that's why country folk, at least the country folk I know of, they may not have gold and silver. They may not. Because what they're dealing with is stuff that produces and creates. Like say, like, you know, chickens have eggs, so you can sell the eggs, and the more money you make, the more chickens you get, or maybe you're going to start getting a milk cow. You know, I mean, no telling what you're going to do as you start doing more. And this is something that doesn't stop when you're in the country. It's just continually doing more and more and more. And you want to get some cattle, and like I say, who knows where it's going to end? You know, so the gold and silver may not be that big of a thing for country folk, because nothing, they can stay where they're at and they can provide for themselves. See, so, you know, I don't know. So when I talk about gold and silver, that's why city folk and country folk can't really comprehend. They don't really understand the value of the gold and silver. And like I say, to the country folk, for the city folk, it's a must. You have to have it. Because even though you think your future is engraved in stone, it's not. And it's that gold and silver that allows you to have a future no matter what. And the country folk, for them, they don't realize it. But like I say, they really need some. They don't need as much as what the country folk do. Because like I say, the city folk are all the time producing. Now, when it comes to firearms, I suggested the Smith & Wesson Hammerless Air-Weight 38, and a box, maybe 2 boxes, 50-round boxes of ammo. That's pretty much all you need. And that's for city folk and country folk too, because the same thing applies. That small gun, you use it out of your pocket or purse. You don't bring it out. It's too small. It's not going to scare anybody. So you shoot it when it's concealed. And all it does is keeps the boogeyman away. And that doesn't matter if you are in the city or in the country. There's boogeymen all over the place. So that's why I came up with that Hammerless 38. And then the AK. And it's funny. AK-47, 4 magazines and a case of ammo. And a case runs probably about 1,000 rounds to a case. And this is stuff you just have stored. That's not the stuff you go shoot and have fun with. But anyway, the AK works for when the boogeyman brings his friends. And I know everybody thinks, well, the AK, that's over. You know, you're over exaggerating. And believe me, when the boogeyman and his friends come, you definitely, you're going to be outgunned. Even with the AK, you're going to be outgunned. But the AK at least puts you into the game. You have a chance. And that applies to both city and country folk. But like I say, a lot, because now country folk, now they aren't so much into those same type weapons, even though they should. And now the ones that I come around, they end up doing it. But a lot of your country folk, they have more of the shotgun and the shotgun for, you know, hunting, quail hunting, or, you know, bird hunting, and, you know, like rabbit, bird, squirrel, stuff like that. And 22s is what the country folk use. The same thing for rabbits, squirrels, and critters that come around the hen house. And then they have bolt action rifles, in which those shoot bigger bullets than the AK-47. But they use them mainly for deer hunting, and like I say, predators that come around, especially the big predators that come around their homestead. And but there is a big difference between the city and country folk. And the city folk are always at the mercy of whatever's going on around them. The country folk, it's a whole lot different. They've got tools and methods and ways to come together to take care of whatever problems seem to come along. City folk they don't do like that. They don't work together. That's another reason why I push the 3-man militia on both the country and the city folk. And the country folk think they don't need the city folk. And the city folk think they don't need the country folk. But we need each other. And the way to do it is, like I say, start networking and do what you have to now. The country folk need to be open to the city folk. And the city folk need to get their butt in gear and make some kind of connections in the country. We have to understand we have our differences, but we also have to understand we need to work together one way or the other. We all benefit from a good constitution and good, strong morals. We need to find a point where together we can do what needs to be done. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.